Well, I think I was one of those people that thought this would be over by now. So, you know, there I go as a credible analyst. But no, the, uh, the fact of the matter is, anytime anybody does any analysis, you're taking a snapshot in time and, drawing hopefully sound conclusions from a limited set of data. Um, and today what we have is, close to 3 months worth of data to look at. What we can say without fear of contradiction is that Russia is winning the military aspects of its special military operation, um, which were to liberate the Donbass from Ukrainian control, to create a land bridge that connected Crimea with the Donbass and the Russian Federation, and to expand the Crimea bridgehead into Ukraine through Kherson to secure the to water sources for Crimea. I don't think a lot of people realize that in 2014 the Ukrainians cut off the fresh water supply to Crimea, and there's been a water crisis ever since. So one of the things Russia did early on was to secure the water source, blow up the dam, and get water flowing back into Crimea. And Russia is on the verge of accomplishing this. And what's important about that is when we use the term special military operation, a lot of people think, well, that's just Russia propaganda. That's just Russians playing word games. No, there's a specific legal context to it. The special military operation is directly linked to the legal justifications that Russia cited when they undertook this operation. This isn't a war. Russia didn't declare war against Ukraine. Had Russia declared war against Ukraine, Russia would be guilty of carrying out an illegal war of aggression, which is a violation of international law. No, Russia justified its actions under Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, citing the self-defense provisions, and then modified the self-defense provisions by citing an immediate threat to a collective security group that required preemptive action. This means that Russia recognized the independence, because without recognizing the independence of Lugansk and Donetsk, what we had here was an internal Ukrainian problem, a fight between the Ukrainian government and Russian separatists. That again, Russia could not legally be justified in intervening militarily. That would be a violation of international law. And people say, well, why are we talking international law? This is Russia. They don't care. I again would direct people to the February 4th meeting between Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, where they condemned the United States and its NATO allies for supporting and sustaining and promoting what's called a rules-based international order. That is basically the United States gets to do whatever it wants because it made the rules. And instead, Russia and China said what they are promoting is a law-based international order premised on the United Nations Charter. Now, that's the keystone to your, giant anti-American platform that you're constructing. The worst thing you could do is say that and then turn around and invade Ukraine in a manner which ignored international law. The Russians are very legal. So they crafted this case for conflict, citing an imminent threat, and that's an important term, imminent threat from a grouping of between 60 and 100,000 Ukrainian forces that had amassed in eastern Ukraine, that the Russians claim were preparing to attack the Donbass to recapture it from the Russian separatists. Now, Russia, having recognized the independence of Lugansk and Donetsk, could now create a security grouping that linked these newly formed states, even though they weren't United Nations states, with a United Nations member, Russia, and they could cite collective security and the threat that the Ukrainian forces posed to this collective security arrangement. The imminent threat, and the important thing about imminent threat means that, because if it's not an imminent threat, then Russia has to go to the Security Council and ask for Security Council intervention under Chapter 7 of the United Nations Charter. And the likelihood of the Security Council granting this is slim to none, because the United States would have vetoed it. So by saying it's an imminent threat, though, Russia is making the case that it's happening now. If we don't do something right now to preempt this, they're moving in. So Russia made the case. Russia carried out